Okay, so we're gonna pick up where we left off, and we were kind of making that transition of, you played your senior year, you're relaxed, you've got your scholarship, but we kind of jumped over an important point there that I really want to go back and talk about, and that's the recruiting process. And I guess I want to talk to everybody, and I want to present it from the standpoint of I'm somebody who was recruited by Power 5 schools. My mom was military, and so she was very much organized, and she knew her stuff. She was disciplined, right. And that was still overwhelming for us. That was our first time dealing with it. We were first time, I almost said NFL, first time college, parent and student, and so that was just overwhelming. And I remember you have these big time coaches. I remember Mac Brown coming into my house and sitting on my couch, and I'm like, oh my God, that's Mac Brown sitting right there. So you become starstruck as a young kid, and it's easy for those coaches to come in and, I don't want to say manipulate, but they use it to their advantage that, they know you look up to us and you want to come here, and these are schools that you want to be a part of. Right. And so for us, it was all new. So I guess I'm saying all that to say when it came to you, it was like I felt like that was me all over again. Now I'm in parent mode. And it was just like, oh my God, like he's got so much stuff coming at him, and we have to do this and we have to do that. And so what was it like for you with these coaches, and now you have direct messaging and they can kind of go around the parents, whereas I got the letters, my coach, is a lot more involvement from parents.
So that's one thing that I think is not that I dislike, but I think is a bit weird about recruiting nowadays is they kind of go around the parent. It's like they'll DM me on Twitter, get my phone number, text me, call me to offer me, like they kind of go avoid the parents, which I think is kind of,
it's disrespectful.
Yeah, and I feel like
it is. I mean, as a parent, because I'm glad you said that, because that's how I would feel. Like I would hear about your college offers on social media, and I'm like, who is this team? I haven't heard anything about that.
I'm getting calls in the middle of my Spanish class talking about, we want to offer you. I'm like, cool. Like, can I give you my parents' number? Like, oh, why don't you do that? Like stuff like that. Like, I feel it's kind of.
It is. It's a way that they can get to the kid first, right? And they can try to. Well, you gotta be careful with the words you use, but they can start to push them in a certain direction.
Push, look at what we have, look what we have, and then involve the parents. Like, maybe
once you got the kid hooked,
right.
Yeah, and that's terrible, because I remember when I was young and me and my mother going through it. They would send letters to the house. They would talk to your coach. Your coach would inform your mom, and so it was more of a, hey, this is still an extension of high school. Like we still care about these kids. Now it just seems like it's an extension of the NFL, like minor league baseball.
But that's where I feel like schools like U of A, for example, differ. U of A went through y'all. When I got a U of A offer, y'all knew before I knew. They called you, then Coach Hunley called me. They text y'all and me. They involved the whole family in the process. And that's where I feel like schools that do that are always going to get better recruits, have better. Obviously, if Nick Saban showed up to your house, like
it's Nick Saban, right? Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah,
right? But schools like that do that. I feel like schools should focus more on that and involve the whole family and not just the kid.
Because you're dealing with the whole family. Like it's not just you out there playing. Like your success is very much built on like the support you have. I mean, if you don't have, the school doesn't have a good relationship with your parents, and not that we need to be at the forefront, but it's like, I like to know that you're calling my kid. Like
a grown man calling my 17, 16-year-old kid. I would like to know what's happening.
That's a little weird. Anywhere else, we'd be calling the police about this. So, it's just show a little respect. And so I just remember, because I know this can be, we have to be careful and stay on track, but I just remember times where we would talk about things, and there would be schools that would use tactics like, well, we're the only one that's really going to give you a scholarship, or, that scholarship's not real, or, well, you're too small to play here. And it's like, dude, you're talking to a kid, man.
It's like I'm not going to say your name, but I had a school one time. I hadn't gotten a Duke offer, and the school I was texting the coach, and they're like, "Oh, well, you're too small to play in the ACC, anyways." Like,
okay, well, you said you weren't gonna say the school's name. Thank God we can edit.
Well, no, I'm saying I got the offer from Duke, and
I thought you were saying the school. No. I was
another
like,
school. I was texting another coach from another school, and he was like, "We're too small to play in the ACC, anyways. Like, you don't need to worry about Duke." Like what? Crazy. Who says that? Like,
that's You know, they can do some tactics. But I remember when we went to a camp and we were at, well, the only U of A camp you went to,
Right.
and there was a school that was recruiting you that showed up there, and that was their first time seeing you live. And I remember them coming over to me and like introducing themselves for the first time, and I was just like, this is the first time you've ever talked to me. Like, I've never heard from you. Now you see him in person and you're impressed. Now you want to come over and be like, hey, how you doing?
Right.
And it's just not the way to do things, but it's technology. It's just, it gives you so much access to the young students, to the athlete, that you don't have to.
Speaking of young students and athletes, I feel like one part of recruiting that I hate seeing are those places that make you pay for recruiting. Like, I'm here to tell y'all, we have 20, 30 people on staff that job is to recruit. They're not going to go to some other third party to go find a kid. That's not going to happen. There's just no point in them having a job. So I don't know why people go out and pay, like, sign these contracts.
Oh, you just gonna kick me right between the legs, huh?
Yeah, right between the legs.
You know that's a sensitive subject in our house because your mom, not even gonna say my wife, your mom swore up and down that we needed to use that third party entity. And I remember being like, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do it. And you want to be happy or you want to be right. So we use that third party entity. And I paid for over a year for something that we never used because at the end of the day, it was you and mom sending out the emails. You know, here's my bio. You know, here is a basic printout of what I'm going to say to every college, because at the end of the day, they don't have time to read this direct. Right. Oh, you're so great. We love you. No. Here's my name. Here's what I do. Here's what I'm about. Here's my huddle link.
And the thing is, right, I'm not just DMing head coaches, because head coaches, let's be real, they're not going to see it.
No, not at all.
They're not going to see it.
Not at all.
You got to DM the assistant director of recruiting, the GA.
The low man on the totem pole.
You got to get your name by the low man. The low man shows coach. It goes up and up and up. You know, if you only DM, let's just take Coach Fish. If you only DM Coach Fish trying to get your film seen, there are so many kids that do that. So many kids, and to think that you're one, I'm not trying to knock anybody, but to think your one DM is gonna get seen and gonna get who's it, like, that's just unrealistic. Yeah. So you can't just DM the highest man and think he's gonna look at it. Like, come on.
Yeah, you can't start there, and I think that's great because, you know, that's what mom did when she was, you know, late at night sending out these emails. She wasn't sending them to the head coaches. She was, you know, sending them to a GA, and I think, but to you having a little bit of an advantage because one of the schools, LeVar, I almost said LeVar Arrington. I'm going to draw a blank on LeVar's last name, but he was a coach at Iowa, remember? Well, I played. No, it doesn't really matter. Right. I played ball with him, and I remember mom was telling me, you know, LeVar coaches here, so I put his full name on there. I put Russell M. Davis. So when the email came across his desk, he was like, Russell Davis. And so he looked at it. I mean, even though that wasn't a school that wanted you, it was still, that was just an advantage, you know, of having someone. So I guess I'm saying that to let everybody know you have to use every advantage that you have to be seen, to be heard. Your voice has to be heard, and the louder you are.
And, like, yes, coaches, their job is to go find kids, but there are how many high schools, how many kids? Like, it's a two-man effort. You can't just expect coaches to come find you, especially if you're not playing, like, if you're not playing at a Bishop Gorman or a Mater Dei or a Hamilton or a Chandler or a Saguaro. Like, your games are on ESPN. Like, you need to put yourself out there to be seen. You know,
you have to do the hard work.
You can't just expect it to just fall in your lap. That's not how that works. It's not.
But that's what people think, though. And I mean, you know, you're somebody who has been through it. You know, I've been through it, and we can talk to her blue in the face. Like, people think, oh, it just came to you. It's like, do you know how much hard work went into this? Like, sending out these emails, these
taking
huddles.
Pictures of my wingspan.
All that stuff. Right. You have to weigh yourself. You have to send it into these coaches. And this is all the time. It's not once in a while. Like, you have to be beating on these doors all the time. And on top of, you have to go out on the field and you have to play. You have to produce. You have to be in class. So you don't
have the grades, because the first thing, every coach that responded to my DM, the first thing they asked for was my transcript. First thing they always ask for, transcript. Because you can't get in, they're not even going to bother with you.
Yeah, what's the point? You're not going to be there long enough.
Because there's so many kids that they will go find another kid you're the exact same as you, but with better grades. They will.
And that's a hard thing to understand. And I hear you saying it now, and it's like, wow, this is like music to my ears. But I remember there was a point where this stuff didn't sink in. It didn't resonate. I'm not going to say it didn't resonate, but now that you've been through it and you understand, like, okay, I get it. Like, how do you get across what you're saying to the younger generation? How do you get across to a kid who's in the 11th grade, 12th grade, who's like, I want to do this, and they're having those doubts, those fears. Am I working hard enough? Like, how do you help that kid get to where they need to get to? What advice do you give them?
I think fear is a really good motivator, and it's true. It's true. I think that fear of like I'm not doing enough should motivate you to do more, and that fear of like I might not get seen should motivate you to put yourself out there. Like use that as fuel to motivate yourself. And like, and I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, like those fears, like the fear of never working hard enough, that never goes away. Like I still feel like I can be doing more. Like I always,
that's me too.
And you always should feel like you should be doing more, but I don't know if you can like, I don't know, it just kind of clicks and kind of doesn't for some kids. Like some kids get it, some kids understand it, and some kids you could tell. I've seen it. You could tell a kid a million times. Like this is like, just do this, man, and you'll get to where you want to be. And it's just like in one ear, out the other. They don't care.
And it's parents because it takes a village. You know, there's so many people that are involved in it. You know, there's late nights, there's arguments, there's like, dude, this is the right way to go. You know, it's such a hard road, and it's such a road that not a lot of people can travel, and many are called, but few are chosen. And it's not like the football teams are like, well, we hate you. It's you're not doing what you need to do.
Right.
So with that whole recruiting process now, you know, you've made it through the recruiting process and you've signed and you show up, was it June 1st? So we got there, was it June 1st or did we get there on the 30th?
Got there June 1st.
Okay, so June 1st, you know, we're riding down to Tucson and I remember this because you were quiet. We were riding down there and you fell asleep in the car and I'm like, oh, he's asleep. It's only an hour and a half drive. And so I'm sitting there and I'm kind of looking over at you and I'm like, for me, I'm looking at like little Deuce. Like I still see little Deuce. Like when I see you on the field, well, when I see you doing what you're doing, I'm like, oh my God, that's baby Deuce. That's little Deuce. So I'm watching you sleep in the car and I'm driving down and you wake up about 20 minutes before we, you know, hit Tucson. And I can see you're just like you said, if you could turn white, you're stressed. So
like I'm stressed.
Yeah. So what was that like? I mean, so tell me what you were going through that first June 1st when you have to be there, you arrive.
I'm like, one, I don't know who my roommates are. So I know I have 5 roommates, but I don't know who they are. So that was one thing I was scared about. That I was going to get bad roommates. I didn't, thank God. I'm moving into the apartment and I got to start paying bills. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about I got to start college training. I have to get bigger. Like, how big are these people? Am I even going to play? Am I going to be like, I got all these million things running through my head. Like, what about this? What about that?
High school on steroids.
It's like everything. I'm like, on top of that, I got to be a regular student. Like, I'm just overwhelmed, like overwhelming myself in the car. So that's what's going through my head. Just stressed to a different level.
So okay, so we get there and, you know, you're beating your roommates and, you know, had a good group of roommates. And I remember when we were leaving, for me, it was kind of like, wow, this is the next segment of his life. This is the next journey. This is like, I'm super proud, man. Like, good for you. Have fun. And when I walked out that door, like, I realized, and I got in the car and I got on that highway, I realized, like, I realized that's it. Like, he's in college now. Like, you know, I put Morgan in college, so you got your sister there. So I kind of was able to work through that, but you were still there. And then when we got there and it was dropping you off, it was like driving back down the highway. I was like, wow, he's gone. So what was that like once I like pulled off and was like gone? Because I know for me, I got in the car and I made that little U-turn in front of the hub and went out and got on the highway, and it hit me riding down the highway. I'm like, he's not coming home anymore. Like, he's in college now. Like, he's here. So what was that like for you? What was that moment of, like, realization where you're like, I'm on my own now?
It was that night because it was really quiet. Like, it was just dead quiet, and it was just nothing. Like, nothing, just quietness. Couldn't like normally like I would hear somebody walking above me, like in the basement. I would hear mom's TV or something. It was just dead silence. It was like, man, like I am living on my own right now. That's crazy. Like I can go get up and do whatever I want right now. Like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I never felt like homesick because home is an hour and a half away from me. So I've never been like, I don't know. I've never been like
really. You weren't homesick? Hold on now. I'm about to pull up some old footage because I distinctly remember we were in here talking one time, and I told you about how I was a crybaby, and I called my mom.
That's different.
What you mean?
Because I'm saying homesick as like, oh, I miss home, but that what you're talking about is me not thinking I'm cut out for. That's
okay. So hold on. So we have to make sure that we because we're talking like everybody knows what we're talking about. So my first time when I got recruited and I signed to go to Chapel Hill, I remember my mom dropped me off. Very similar stories of what we're talking about now. That first week of school, not even school, but training camp, I called my mom like in tears. Mama, I'm not cut out for this. I don't know if this is for me. I think I made a mistake. These guys are huge. I'm never going to be this big. I'm never going to be this good. All these self-doubt things were going through my mind. And my mom's like, no, baby, you'll be fine. You worked hard to get there. It's going to be okay. Trust me. Mama, please, I want to come home. I want to come. What am I coming back to Fayetteville for? That's like you coming back to Phoenix.
Like, what am I going back home for?
Right. But at that moment in time, it's so real and it's so scary that you're doubting yourself. Like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I remember my mom just being like, oh, baby, it'll be okay. And once the regular students get on campus, which translates to wait till the girls get on campus, you'll be just fine. And so did that happen? Well, I know it happened for you, but tell everybody about what that's like for your first night, your first training camp, like by yourself and football and school and bills and all this responsibility.
Well, thank God my first training wasn't even like during school time or like during like season of practice. Thank God it wasn't. So it was just like the lift and the run. So we had to be there at 5:45 and a.m. and I had to walk there, 15-minute walk. So I'm leaving the crib at like 5, waking up like 4 something.
This is a D1 athlete morning.
This is a D1 athlete morning. Okay, so I get there, we get in the field early, start stretching. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna do this. Like, let's do it. We do the warm up, and we do like a bunch of like speed drills, and I'm like, whew, like good workout, boys. And he's like, all right, we want a skill over here and a D lineman over and a lineman over here. I didn't know what they wanted me to do at the time. I was like, oh, I'll go with the skill. I'm skinny. Mistake.
Fast. I got speed.
Mistake. The biggest mistake in my life. Okay. We get over there and we have to pull chains. I get like chains. They're like 200 pounds in chains. We got to run with like 50 yards, and it's timed. So I do ones. We get there, do one. I'm like, whew, I'm gassed. Like, all right, cool, we're done. Like, we're making the break. Back up on the line again. Back. I'm like, okay. Like, okay, now we get a break. No, drop it, free run, down and back. After that, I was like, man, like, can we get a break now? We finally got a break, but it didn't feel that long.
No, it's not.
So we did that for like an hour. And after that, I'm like dead. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, we're done. Like, that was it. Next day, we lift. Like, no. In the weight room, we squatted, we did squats, and we did cleans, I think. I know we did some kind of leg exercise because my legs were hurting. We do that. After that, I'm like, man, like, I really did. I was just like sitting in the weight room, like, I want to go home. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, this is not for me.
Like home to your apartment,
like,
or home back to Phoenix?
Chandler. Like,
Chandler.
I want to go home. Like, this is not for me.
You weren't coming back here, so.
Then, this is when we first got. They had all the freshmen meet up with a nutritionist, and they took us upstairs, made everyone get a massive plate of food and eat it all, right? Never up to that point I hadn't eaten that much food ever at once. So it was a struggle. Like I could barely keep it down. Like, it was rough. Okay, we do all that. I'm like, I'm stuffed to the brim. My whole body hurts. I'm tired. Right. Now I gotta go to class. I got summer classes.
So what time is it now?
It's about 8:30 right now.
Oh, wow. I was thinking it was closer to like 11 or 12.
Oh,
so
no,
all this is
it's 8:30 right now.
By 9 o'clock.
Class starts at 9.
Oh, wow.
Get there at 9. I have to sit there in the class and pay attention after doing all that. No way. People in there, I got videos. People in there falling asleep, dozing off, like the whole thing. I'm standing there, like, we get done with class. We get a homework assignment the first day. Crazy, whatever. I'm like, cool, we're done. Nope, we got an hour study hall now after that. So this is 10 to 11 now. We got study hall.
And this is not even noon yet.
Not even noon yet. And in the study hall, we have an online class. Then after all of that, we can go home. Except I have to walk home after doing a basically a 2-hour leg day class, force feeding myself. Now I can go home.
I'd have fell asleep in the locker room.
We didn't have a locker room at the time.
That's right, because it was still
under
getting
construction.
renovated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So I get home, I get in the bathroom, turn the shower on. I'm sitting on the toilet. I'm just staring at the wall like, this is not. I'm thinking like, I'm not cut out for this. Like, I just can't do this. Like, there's no way I'll ever be able to get that big. Oh, I forgot to mention. Everybody looked huge. Like, everybody was 6'5", 230.
Like a giant.
Everybody just looked massive.
Intimidating.
So I get to the bathroom, I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is not for me. Like, I cannot do this. Like, I will never be that big. I'll never be that strong. I'll never be in that kind of shape. I will never, ever be where I need to be to play college football. Like, I should just call it now and not put this much stress on my body. I'm like, man, this is just...
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from and how you feel.
And I was like, I don't remember what I told myself to convince myself to just thug it out for one more day, but I did.
Because you knew you weren't coming back here. I wasn't going to allow that. That's what it was. That was that voice you heard in your head, like, hell no, you're not coming back here.
And like the next day wasn't that bad because I went with the D lineman for the running.
Yeah.
So wasn't
a little slower than running with receivers and DBs.
Then we get to the Friday, which is the game day, which is like the last lift of the week, which is like the game day lift, we call it.
Right.
So it's everything I just said before, except the lift part is way longer.
Oh, God.
And then after all, we have to do all that. After all that running and lifting, we then go on the turf. Hot turf. It's June. Turf is 100-something degrees. There's like there's barbell with like 45 on each side. Put it on our back, walking lunges, the whole length of the field and back. We had like two of those maybe. Yeah. And then fireman carries, same thing, or farmer carries with the thing, all the way down and back, twice I'm pretty sure. Then we got ropes. We got this way, we got the jump squat ones, like just a bunch of just nonsense. Just a bunch of OD nonsense. Then, after all of that, we got to push a sled. It was only, it started out with 6, but went up by 2 reps each week. And I literally thought I was going to die. Like, I was like, where is my inhaler? Like, after the first rep, I was like, where is my inhaler?
Like, I'm about to die out here.
I was like, where is my inhaler? And they were like, and the trainer was like, I promise you're just tired. I'm like, where is my inhaler? Like, bring me my inhaler now. Like, I'm taking it. I don't care. Somehow got through it, and I'm pretty sure I just fell on the ground afterwards. I was just laying on the hot turf. I couldn't even feel how hot it was. That's how tired I was.
That's funny that because when you tell these stories, that's why like when you come home, and I hear you and Mom will be sitting in the office talking, or I just catch a conversation. It's the same thing that I went through. So I love hearing it because I just think it's hilarious because I remember the first time we had to do a survival run. And so I didn't even have the option of coming in June. Like we came literally 2 weeks before school started, and you had to take what was called a survival test. And all it is a suicide drill on the football field. So you start at the back of the end zone, you run to the 5 or the 10, you go back, touch the back of the end zone to the 15 or 20, and you're doing that. And it's timed, and you're like 3 minutes or something. And I just remember Mad Dog, Jeff Madden, probably one of the greatest men I've ever been a part of my life. I hated his guts my first year. I could not stand our strength coach. I mean, I hated his presence. I hated his voice. I mean, if you just like his nickname was Mad Dog, and like I just could not stand him. And I remember running that test. No, for real, I can say that now.
I get it. First couple of months, T.O. could have got hands.
Yeah, because you want to jump on him the way he talks to you and the way you're like, I don't want to take this. Davis, get on the line. You're nothing. You're just an incoming freshman.
You're like garbage. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, you're like
go. I'm like,
yeah, you want to run up on him, and so I totally understand that. But then you grow to love that same guy because he pushes you and he gets you to where you want to get to. He gets you to your goals, and so you start to understand that his foot being up my backside was for a reason, and you start. It doesn't make it any better because he still does it, but you can deal with it a lot more when you see the benefits of what that person's doing.
Like, as much as T.O. made me mad, like I can look at him and be like, yeah, I would not be where I'm at without him. Like without him being on me, pushing me, being on me with my weight, making sure I'm pushed, like making me do more weight. Without that, like I wouldn't be where I'm at. So. It's for the better, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a good strength coach is always your strength coach and your position coach are going to be the two people that you spend the absolute most time with, like the head coach and the D coordinator. I mean, you're going to see the head coach, but you're not going to see the you're going to see the head coach a few times in meetings around the building. But, most of the time, those are the two people that you're going to be with. So, now that you're in school, okay, so June, you're in the weight room and you're hitting it hard and you're starting to see a little bit of success on the field. Like, when did you think that you weren't going to redshirt, or did you think you were going to play more than you thought you would? Because I remember talking to you, and my game plan coming in was, hey, use this year to get as a redshirt year, you get bigger, stronger. So when you would call me and talk to me about not redshirting, I was kind of like, what's going on? Because I was like, dude, this dude's like 200 pounds. Like, how is he climbing the ladder like that? Like, you explain that to me, because even as your father, somebody who's been there, and I know what you're capable of, for you to just come from high school weighing maybe 200 pounds.
Let's be real, 185.
Yeah, well, I wanted to make it sound good. So you're going to college as a defensive end, 6'3", 6'2", whatever, weighing 195. So, like, the massive amount of the gains that you made, the strides that you made, it is amazing. Like, how did you do that? Like, that just blows my mind.
When I got there, I was just like, I knew that I don't like just watching the game on the sideline. So I wanted to play, but I didn't think I was going to play that year. So my game plan was like, I'm going to get my body to where it needs to be for next year. So got there at 185. So in the span of 2 months, I was before fall camp, I was 214. So I was just getting big, just trying to just doing what I need to do. Getting to fall camp, bottom of the depth chart as usual, freshman. And what happened? We were doing they have like the incoming freshmen, like the scout, have their own little segment. So I'm doing that, and I'm like, man, this is like nothing. Like this is easy.
Right.
So then eventually I get moved from that to like third team. Then dude in front of me, what happened? Just messing up.
Yeah.
Coach got mad. Dave's getting there. I'm like, what? Like me?
Dude, you got to stop doing that, man. When they call your like number, you keep, me?
Like,
for real?
Me? Like,
you serious?
I was like, all right. And part of me was nervous, but the other part was like, this is my chance. Like, this is not the time to be nervous or scared. And the first rep I had was a pass, and I didn't know what to do on them. I was like, screw it. I'm just going to run through him. ran him almost into the QB.
Oh, big mistake.
Got pulled out, 15 push-ups for getting too close to QB, got right back in there. And from there, it was just like, I just realized, like, this is something I can do. This is mine. And even then, I was still like, I'm probably not going to play. Like, I'm probably not going to play.
Because that's what I was thinking in the stands. God knows, man. I mean, some of our phone calls going back and forth, because I would watch you, and I'm like, dude, you're only on kickoff, and you get a couple of plays. Like, that San Diego game, I was like, wow, he started pretty much because somebody got hurt. So I thought that was going to be the amount of plays you were getting. So when there be games where I'm like, oh, he's not really getting on the field, I'm looking at it like, don't waste your year. But I guess once you had a taste of it, it was too late.
But my thing for that was, like, I just wanted to, like, I wanted to win. I like winning. I hate losing. And for me, it was like, if me being on kickoff helps the team win, that's the only place I get reps, so be it. If I'm helping the team win, I'm helping the team win. If that's what it is, that's what it is.
Yeah, no, I respect that. That's good. But I was just, parent-wise, I'm like, God, don't waste an entire year just for a kickoff team. Like, that's, but as the season went on, I think it was what mid-season, about week 6.
It was because I got in San Diego State, I got in Mississippi State. I didn't get in North Dakota. It was Colorado. Colorado is when I really got
started playing. And then from there on, it was like, oh, okay, now he's playing. But I guess I'm saying all that to say, if I had to sum it all up, is sometimes as parents, you have to trust the process. I know that's such a cliche and people hear it. And it's tough when your kid is going through it. He went through it. in high school. He went through it in college. But if you trust the process and you put yourself in a position to be successful and to win and to be ready when your opportunity comes. And that's the thing. Like, people always say, well, what does that mean? Well, you have to always be working towards your goal. If your goal is to be a defensive lineman, to be a running back, or to whatever it is, if you're not working towards it, when you get that opportunity to go in there, when you get, hey, 99, let's go, you're like, oh.
Yeah, like, like San Diego State, I didn't know I was going to play. I didn't think I was going to play. I was like,
so
we're in the trip, like, oh, it's a give you in a hotel, a good picture.
Yeah,
I'm probably not going to play, though. Like, Stan is cool, but I'm not going to play. Then I get my name called. I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean me? Like,
oh, I was excited, man. I'm going to tell you right now, like, sitting at home, watching it on TV, when I see you go in the game, I get, like, so excited, especially against, like, San Diego. When you went in, I was like, oh, my God. And, of course, I'm with the critical eye, I'd be like, oh my God, you got reached a little bit. You got to, make sure you step with the right foot. But overall, as I'm watching it, I'm like, he's doing a really good job to be 200 pounds going up against a 315-pound tackle. So, it was just really good to see all the hard work and all the technique and everything that you had worked on your entire career has helped you be successful at the right times, which has then helped you be successful over long periods of time. So now that you've experienced this first year of college, because that's kind of the big talking points where I want to address things on here, and when I have people, I want to discuss those early years, and I want people to understand that these years are going to go by so fast. Like, you have to be dedicated. If this is what you want to do, you want to make it to the next level, this is how you do it. You don't have to go spend thousands of dollars on trainers and these third-party people that are going to – you have to be willing to put in the hard work that it takes to be successful. That's on the field. That's writing the emails, getting on the phones if you have to. If you can make it to these camps, going to
the right camps too. Going to, like, it's just, you can't just expect it to come to you to work for it. You can't just, it's not going to come to you.
Yeah,
you got to work for it and do it. And with the trainers, like, you would say you work out with a trainer 3 days a week. What are you doing the other 4?
Right.
Are you just sitting at home? Are you getting extra work in? Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And then even with the trainer, like, you go work with a trainer for an hour. What about the other 23 hours in a day? Are you just sitting? Are you just playing video games? Are you watching film? Or what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing to get better?
It's an all day. It's all the time.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious, like, sitting here hearing you say this, because I remember when we were working and it'd be like, come on, it's time to work. You'd be like, okay. And you always worked hard. I'm not going to sit here and paint the picture like you were some lazy kid, but it was always like, Deuce, you could be doing so much more. You need to be working harder. You should be doing this. So when you got to college, and then for you to come back after a year and everything that I said to you, you're just like, just right back at me. I'm like, so now you're starting to understand it. So, like, what advice would you give? So a kid, you're on your way to your dream school, whatever school it is you picked, you're going. What advice would you give a student athlete going into their first year at their school? How would you tell them, or what would you say to them to help them have success that first year?
Don't go in there and with this, like, big ego and like be like, I'm the man. Don't do that. That's how you create, like, I don't know what the word for it is.
Like enemies?
Yeah, that's how you make people not like you.
Yeah. Well, animosity.
When the older guys tell you something, listen to them. Don't just whatever. Like, take it in, really, really listen, and you can never do enough.
Yeah.
You can never, like, you can't watch enough film. You can't do enough footwork. Obviously, you can tire yourself out, but you should always be doing something. You should never not do something.
No.
You should always be trying to better yourself. You should always be trying to, like, we have weight goals. It say your weight goals, you got to be 2 pounds by next week. Try and get 3.
Yeah.
Always try to overachieve and do more. That's definitely my advice. Just work hard, because the coaches see that, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that stuff. No, I know, because being in college, you have to be very careful, because you see so many examples of good and bad behavior. So I understand why you're like, I gotta catch myself.
Well, my thing is, if you don't play as a freshman, or you're not playing, don't look at it like the coaches don't like me. You should look at that as, I need to do more. Because a lot of people, though, their first thing is like, oh, it's the coaches. They want to see their kid, da-da-da. I came in, I was maybe fourth on the board for D-line. I was the end of the depth chart. Like, they had, and I still got on the field. I still worked my way to it. So don't use that as an excuse. Work for it. Like, use that as, if the person in front of you thinks you should be ahead of, use that as motivation to work harder. Don't be like, oh, they want to see their people play. Like, I hate that. I really do hate that.
No, it's funny that you say that, because it seems like your whole career, as we're sitting here talking about it, it's not like I didn't know, but as I hear it, it's always been this underdog role. Like, you've always been undersized, oh, well, we don't know if he's going to make it. We're going to put him third string. And it's like you just keep working to get to the top. Like, this is where I want to be. And I think, to me, that's what's going to lead to you having a successful, sophomore year. And because, my goal has always been, because I wasn't a pass rusher when I was in school. And I'm going to tell you this now, and I don't know if I've told you this or gone into any kind of detail about it. When I played football, especially in the pros, there was a beginning and an end as far as defensive lineman goes. And what I mean by that is, in the beginning, the first person that I felt like made a strong impression on me, as far as I feel like who I've helped you kind of become a little bit, is Simeon Rice. Simeon Rice, when I first got here to Arizona, was 6'5", 250 pounds, and that was a no-no when I was playing, because that wasn't big enough. Right. It wasn't, that wasn't what we think of as defensive ends. So that was kind of that long, wiry frame, because I remember playing with him and being like, this dude's an amazing pass rusher. Like, you can get a ton of money getting to the quarterback. And as I watched the game evolve, there were guys in between that I was like, okay, I like this guy, I like that guy. But for me, some of the biggest influences that I think helped kind of mold my idea of a pass rush and kind of help you to be who you are is Simeon Rice and Michael Strahan. Like, those were two defensive ends that I was just like, those guys are good. So now that we're on that, who is
J.J. Watt?
Is it really? It's always been J.J. Watt.
I think J.J. Watt should have an MVP right now. What year was it where he had like 20 and a half sacks and like 4 touchdowns? It was the year Aaron Rodgers running over him. That was that makes me mad. He should have got MVP for that year. Ooh.
That's tough, because I'm like, you said that, because I've always known you were a big, as a matter of fact, I was telling Jill before you got here, we were talking about it, and, we were talking about the trophy, and I said, well, J.J. Watt, that's his favorite guy. And so to hear it, I would have thought maybe it moved on a little bit, like you still liked him, but no. Okay, well, there you go then.
When they gave me that trophy, it had the video and like Easter, like, congrats so-and-so, and J.J. Watt did it, and he was like, congrats to Russell Davis for the award, and he was like, he did like a little end part. He was like, good luck at U of A, Deuce. I was like geeking the bed. I was like, oh my God. I was so excited. Oh my God. Like, JJ Watt knows who I am. Like, what?
He just, all right, congratulations at U of A. That's funny. So, okay. So now, as we're about to wrap this up a little bit, I made a promise to Mom that there was a couple questions that she wanted me to ask. And one of them is, she wanted to know, what do you think? She asked both of us, but I'm going to ask you first. What do you think your biggest strength is in your game?
My biggest strength? Probably mental and physicality. Like, being able to look at the formation and be like, oh, this is probably going to be a run play. Being able to do that and get pre-snap reads, which I kind of, being undersized, I kind of have to do that. Yeah. I have to have that edge and know, like, and prepare myself for a run block or a pass block. And then being physical in the run game. Yeah. I'm undersized, so I have to make up for that lack of weight, and then being able to just ragdoll me with strength and meeting them like, right. I'm right there with you. That was good. Like, I'm right there. I'm going to hit you, Okay. So definitely those two.
So now she asked me that same question, so I have to answer this. Well, I would have said when I played high school, college football, obviously it was a little bit different. We were a more run-heavy generation. I think mine was playing the run. Like, I felt like that was my bread and butter. first, second down, all day long. Third down, pass rush to me was just something that eluded me. Pass rush, I just didn't have the quickness. I don't know what it was. Maybe I wasn't taught how to do it, but it was just not something that came natural to me. So when I see you pass rush and I watch you bend and twist and move, I'm like, that's so great, because that was something that was so difficult for me. Like getting 5 sacks in a season, I was like, yeah, man, I'm the man. 5 sacks now, I'll be like, you did all right. So that's one area of my game that if I could make an improvement on, I would have definitely been a much better pass rusher. And I think the other question that she wanted me to ask you, and this really kind of made me think, and she said, in asking me, in your career, what coaches would you want to coach your son? And I had to stop and think about that.
Ooh.
And I could tell you right now, there's 3 of them. There's Mad Dog as a strength coach. I have the utmost respect for him. Like, just great man, have nothing but great things to say about him. The second would be Deke Pollard. And Deke Pollard is like old school 1985 football. Like, he would say expressions like, let's say we're pass rushing, and he'd be like, Russell, you're not even getting there. He goes, you might as well call in the dogs and piss on the fire, because you're never going to get there.
What?
It's a hunting, right, exactly. He's like an old country dude, and basically what that means is the hunt is over, wrap it up, call in the dogs, let's go, fellas, let's wrap it up, and you pee on the fire because you're putting it out.
Right.
So basically, you're getting your butt kicked, just stop.
Right.
And then the final person, Mean Joe Green.
Oh, yeah.
Mean Joe Green is, like, for me, that was my J.J. Watt. Like how you said you were geeking out. When I came here and I found out that Mean Joe Green was going to be my coach, I was like you, like, oh, my God, that's Mean Joe Green at the front of oh, my God, the Coca-Cola commercial. He got the head slap. I'm just sitting back there like, oh, my God, I'm sitting in the room. And he was so intense. And I'm just like, this is Mean Joe Green. Like, I'm taking advice from Mean Joe Green. So, you're in the basement. You see, I'm a huge football fan, but Mean Joe Green is somebody that, and not necessarily be your coach, I would love for him to have met you, because he knew you as a baby, but to see you now, I would love for him to have that opportunity. But those would be the 3 coaches that, if I could say these 3 men could have some kind of influence in my son's life, I think they would be 3 of the men that I would just be very proud to have, like, coach you and kind of direct you. So, what you about to say? You about to say something?
This is my turn to say?
Yeah, I want to see what you want to say.
So, Coach Kafusi, by far, gotta have Coach Kafusi. Coach Nelson too. And my third one, I'm gonna go with Coach Barrett. Those are my 3, yeah. Because Kafusi is.
Now, explain who Kafusi is.
Oh, my fault. So Coach Kafusi is my D-line coach at U of A, and then Coach Nelson is my D coordinator at U of A, and then Coach Barrett was my D-line coach at Hamilton. So Coach Kafusi and Coach Nelson, their kind of coaching style works perfectly together. Like, you can't have one without. Like, Coach Kafusi is very calm and relaxed, like kind of guy, real chill. Coach Nelson is very intense. And he's very, like, high energy, and, like, he just has a lot of passion for the game, and, like, it rubs off. And, like, what I like about Coach Nelson the most is he's real. He's so real. He never, like, some coaches will tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Kind of like, whatever. He's never going to do that. He's going to tell you what it is, the truth, and how it is. And that's something I just, like, respect about him a lot. So that's something that I would want my son to also have for a coach. Coach Kafusi's real, too, obviously. But I'm more relaxed and chill, which is like, that's why I feel like they're like perfect together. Like
yin and yang.
Like yin and yang, exactly.
Yeah. You need that, though. You need that with a coach. You don't need a coach that's always just yelling at you, because it's like you feel like you're being beat up all the time. Like, you want, okay, I'm going to go get my butt chewed over here, and then I'm going to come over here and be like, okay, what you did was this. This is how you should have done it better.
The butt chewing never feels like, some coaches, when they chew you out, personal. It feels like they're coming at me like, like, what's up, man? Like, what
are you trying to do here?
What you trying to get into, man? Like, Coach Nelson never, it might be loud and intense. He might be yelling. He might even spit on you when he's yelling. But it's never like, and attack. It's like I feel like I'm being coached all the time.
Well, that's good. Some coaches don't know how to do that.
Yeah, some coaches can't do that, but he can, and it's like something that like
that's a talent. That's a talent.
That's a talent. Like that's like he's meant to be a coach. Like he will be a head coach before he retires.
That's good. That's good because he was the one that came from UCLA, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, they both came from UCLA.
They did. Mm-hmm. Oh, guess I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So what we at 98 days now, right?
98 days.
98 days of football. Cannot wait. So look, man, I appreciate you coming on and talking. And I mean, we could keep going and just talking all night, but I appreciate it. And thanks for being on here.
Of course.
Thanks for tuning in to The Route. Don't forget to subscribe and connect with us on socials for exclusive updates.